I am so excited for yet another epic Rebel Radio conversation with my new friend, G. Wright. Thank you for being on the show. I'm so grateful that you are here today.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm really looking forward to talking to you today.
Absolutely. So, as always, before we went live, I shared a little bit of your numerology with you. And I'm curious what stood out to you about what I shared.
You're spot on. I don't know how you do it, but like you describe me as a 10, and then when you say the characteristics of it, I'm like, yes. I've always been that. Like, I love challenges. I don't really play by the rules. If someone says you can't do this, I'm like, well, why? I'll prove to you that I can. And I've always just been in that leadership, like, place. And I think that's what really helped me, be a tour manager and work with these bands for 25 years, is that I was always making decisions every day. And like you
Mhm.
said, with the 10, you don't really, um, focus too much on, the outcome of it. It's just really like, let's get this, because there's going to be another decision made right after it. So it was spot on. Yeah, that was absolutely amazing.
I love it. One of
Yeah.
numerologists' favorite sayings, you can't make this shit up.
Yes, exactly.
There are t-shirts
Exactly.
that say that. I love it. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
My name's G. Wright. I'm a producer and Rockstar media trainer for All Things Relax Studios. And I was a tour manager and live sound engineer for over 2 decades. I just turned 50 like last week, so I'm a little older than some people in the
Happy
audience, but
birthday.
thank you. I was working with bands, all my whole life, and I would mix their shows, like do their concerts, or I was their tour manager in charge of all the logistics, or set up all their interviews and coach them of how to handle media. And I did that all the way up until the great vacation, I guess we could say, the 2-year vacation, right?
Mhm.
And then together with my partner Sandy D, the queen of podcast Zen, we created All Things Relax Studios and launched our podcast, her show All Things Relax with Sandy D. And then we just launched, I'm just so excited to talk about this, the Rockstar Media Training Program. And I want to thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, I love that so much. And you know what's funny is you're talking about this rock star media and helping rock stars and musicians. And as soon as you started talking, my cat started singing.
Nice. Nice. We should record it, put it out as a record.
He's been on several episodes. He loves to serenade the audience.
That's awesome. See, he
Whenever I
feels
talk
the
about
energy.
whenever I talk about love or money, he comes in and starts singing. It's great.
That's awesome.
So
That's
fun.
awesome.
So tell us a little bit about this program that you've just launched. I mean, this is not usually a promotion show, but you're so excited about it. We got to talk about it.
Well, we show authors and coaches and creative entrepreneurs how to speak with confidence and clarity, how to create a crystal clear message and connect with their audience
Mm,
by taking the same type of tips and techniques that these artists use before they go on stage or they go on to do an interview. And these are tips and techniques that entrepreneurs can use, when they're promoting themselves and going on interviews like today.
I love it. I love it. Beautiful.
Thanks
We
for
need
the
more of
plug.
that
Yeah.
in the world because the coaches and healers out there that are afraid to share their voice, we
Yeah.
need them to share their voice. So I
Yeah.
love that. What do you desire most in life?
I have really been thinking about this question for a long time, and for a media trainer, it's like,
Mhm.
okay, you stumped the media trainer. I what I want out of life is that people need to realize that they have a purpose, right? And then
Mhm.
just embrace that purpose. And the best thing I could get out of life is just to be able to have this incredible life with Sandy, to be living in France on the beach and all that. But it's really about adding value to people's lives and showing that everybody has a story and everybody's a storyteller.
I love that. Spoken like
Thank
a
you.
true 10. I want to live in France.
Oh, thank you. I love that 10. That's
I,
great.
I want to travel and live in France and be happy.
Yes. Yes.
And I want impact. All of the above. I love it.
Yes.
So good. So let's touch on this topic of unity consciousness. And
Mm-hmm.
as everybody's got these different careers and pathways, and yet we're all connected. And I'm so
Mm-hmm.
curious to know, what does unity consciousness mean to you?
Well, I think of everything on the planet is based on frequencies and vibrations, right? And I mean, whether we recognize it or not it's science, right? So it's there whether we recognize it or not. And I find that there's something about like manifesting the right people into your circle, and being able to recognize that, okay, this is a good group of people. So you're attracting that. And likewise, especially in business, if you're surrounding yourself with people that you're not, like, they can say, clicking with, or on the same frequency, that you just take the time to go, you know what, I need to pivot. I need to make a change and go. And I really think, like, if you look at, everything out there is happening and is all connected. And when we realize that we're part of it, and just kind of step back, but let things happen, but yet take action. It's kind of a balance of it.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, the universe has been speaking to me forever. You know what I mean? I just get a vibe, that sixth sense. I'm sure you've heard this a lot, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the the force from Star Wars. I saw on your LinkedIn, you're known as Yoda. I love that, because the force is really what it is. It
Yeah.
is. It's all around us, whether we believe it or not. It's there, and we
Yeah.
can choose to accept it and really embrace it, and focus on the good side, right? And yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
I love that you brought that up. Yes, I got nicknamed Yoda back in the fall of 2021, and it stuck.
Yes.
And it's we talk about the force being
Yes.
the quantum field, and we can choose to, based on our level of consciousness, be at the whim of it, as in
Hmm.
the world is happening to me, and I'm the victim of all this stuff that's occurring, or we can choose to believe that the world is happening for me, in that
Right.
consciousness of, everything happens for a reason, and this is
Right.
unfolding to be so that I can learn a lesson, that kind of thing.
Right.
And the Yoda comes from, the world is happening through me and as me. As in, I can leverage that energy because I am that energy, and I
Yes.
can use that energy to my advantage and the world's advantage. Yeah.
Yes, Yoda. Yes, he
I
knew
got
it.
goosebumps
600 years
talking
old. He
about
figured it out.
it.
Love Star Wars. Huge Star Wars fan.
Oh my
That was
gosh,
one of the
yes.
highlights of my life. All these artists that I worked with, and I never get photos or anything, but
Yeah.
I was backstage at a show, and George Lucas was there with some other people, and I wanted a photo so bad, but it's like a no-no on the road, especially when you're working in that
Mhm,
industry. And I was just like,
mhm.
man, I want a photo with George Lucas so bad. But yeah, the force, it really is that simple, complicated, but yet that simple. If we just look at it as, okay, what is my role in this, and how
Mhm.
can I add value to people's lives,
Ugh, right there. I love it.
right?
So good. So tell us a little bit about some of the rituals or habits that you have in place to help you stay devoted to this concept of unity consciousness.
Well, in terms of like essential oils, I found that lavender works really well for
Mhm,
not just really calming things down, but also as a sound engineer. So if
mhm,
there's any, and people, it's podcasting, and you're listening on your earbuds, I found that if I get any slight ringing in my ear, I put lavender behind each ear,
mhm,
and on the back of my neck, and it takes the ring away. I'd say, as far as like ritual, I really like to take time and focus on what is the outcome that I want from this. Like we
mhm,
talk about that in Rockstar, like rehearse, 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 like prepare. Like,
mhm.
and also visualize what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And then when you're in the middle of it, then it doesn't seem like it's so foreign. Like, wow, how did this happen? It's like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Just like the
Yeah.
fifth, everything happens on the fifth for some reason for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I've always said this I teach a course called Mastering the Brain Game. And I've
Mm-hmm.
always said this, Olympic athletes spend more time in visualization than they do in actual physical practice of their sport, of their chosen activity. And it's because the brain doesn't actually know the difference between witnessing an event and actually experiencing it. And so, as we are spending time in visualization, we're literally brainwashing ourselves.
Yes.
We're being brainwashed anyways, so we may as well, if we're making it all up, up, make it really fucking good.
Right.
And so we're brainwashing ourselves into the experience so that when we do actually experience it in the material world, we're like, yeah, of course, I created this. I knew this was happening. So it's not such as like, oh my God, look at that. What happened? And sometimes it's better than the visualization as well.
And I've used that on the road with clients of like, they're going to go out and they're going to perform and their band starting out. They only have 10 people in the crowd. And I'm
Mhm.
like, visualize that you are performing to 10,000 people and go out
Yeah.
there and put on the best fucking show you can and do it, and they do it, and not only do those 10 people love it, but there's a story I shared on another episode that actually a reporter for Rolling Stone was in the crowd and loved the
Mhm.
band, and it led to interviews and all that. So it really goes to, you never know who's in the crowd, right?
Mhm.
But having that visualization, like, just and for entrepreneurs like starting out, just visualize your success.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going on a show, visualize the success, the outcome you want, and really put your mind into that. And then when it is actually happening, it doesn't seem so scary because it's like, yeah, of
Mhm.
course this is happening because I knew this was going to be a great interview. Thank you, Cindy. So it's like we visualize it, right?
Right? Yeah, and it creates the belief that it's
Yes.
possible, right? So
Yes.
then you keep going because you're creating that belief in your mind instead of thinking about all the things that could go wrong. You're just
Right.
like, I perform in front of 10,000 people every single day. No big deal. And pretty
Right.
soon you are because the belief is what creates it. So
Yes.
good. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. So I don't get a lot of ruling number 10s on the show. So this
Oh,
is going to be
really? Well,
fun.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
I am very curious to know how you define wealth.
Wealth is doing what you love, making the living that you want, and just enjoying every day.
Yeah.
It's not measured on money in the bank. It's not measured on followers or likes or downloads or anything like that. That's all like metrics, vanity metrics, whatever. If you love what you do, I've always learned this, and we've said this in the music business. If you love what you do, you'll always have a job doing that.
Yes.
And
Right?
wealth is when you don't look at it as a job. It's a
Yeah.
career. It's like, okay, we're living on the beach in France and the company is running and everyone's happy, and that's wealth. It's
Oh,
not, yeah.
yeah. And, I actually just launched today
Oh,
my
congratulations.
life story. It's been a project that's been in progress for a year and a half, and it finally went live
Wow.
today. And it's called Life at Full Blast. Because
Nice.
and that's to me what you're describing is like you have to be in love with your life because otherwise
Yes.
you don't have wealth. And if you're not living the life fully lived, life at full blast, then what are you doing?
And you and I, we've both worked, especially on the music industry and everything. I've worked with people that have a lot of money,
Mhm.
but they don't have wealth. They
Yeah.
don't have the happiness associated with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you gotta
that's
have the
really
life.
the key.
So good. I love
Yeah.
that so much.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, like, what do you think? What is one truth that you wish every single entrepreneur out there knew?
Um,
My guests always love this. What do you mean one truth?
trust your gut. Trust your
Mhm.
intuition.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what everybody else says. Don't follow trends. Don't worry about, well, this is not going to work because no one's done it before. If we did that, we'd still be riding around in horse and buggies or living in caves, with stones, right?
Right.
It takes that innovation and that entrepreneurship and that desire to do something and the confidence to do it. But just go with your gut. Go with intuition. If it says do it, then do it and enjoy it, love it, be it, right?
Oh, yes. I love that so much.
Yeah, thanks.
And I can feel my audience going, yes, but I'm afraid.
Fear is the dark side. We need to get rid of the dark side.
I'm loving the
Fear
Star Wars references,
hey, that movie just it really is the key to life, I mean,
right?
fear comes from lack of confidence. If we're
Mhm.
not confident doing something, then it's going to seem scary. So if we start out with, like we talked about, the visualization of doing it, and it convinces our mind that we can do it, but it's really taking action. So
Mhm.
like we work with a lot of clients that come into Rockstar, their biggest fear is fear of public speaking.
Hmm.
And it's not like, oh, well, just look at the camera and say this and do this. It starts with the mindset. And you really got to get your mind. So no matter what fear it is, with taking the time, getting the training, doing the work, but then, like we talked about before, when you can visualize you're going in front of 10,000 people and you're not scared because it's 10,000, it's like these are 10,000 people that love what you do. They've
Hmm.
paid you for your expertise. This is the best audience to perform in front of. Now just go on that interview and have fun,
Right? Oh my gosh.
right?
I love that so much. And
Yeah, thanks.
this is something that I teach. It's the mindset, but it's also the understanding of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yes.
And so it comes back around to the conversation about wealth. If you don't love what
Yes.
you're doing, it's going to be really hard. You got
Yes.
to love what you're doing so much that you don't give a shit what other people think. And you
Right.
are willing to just go share it. So it's really about getting the mind on board with the belief that it's possible, but it's also the feeling state of, I love this so much. I don't even care if people see it or not.
And recognize that fear is a feeling. And we can change our feelings. We can control our feelings.
Yes.
So find a system that works, like some people have warm-up routines they do. Some people do meditation or yoga. I've worked with so many quote unquote rock stars that before they go out and perform in front of like a sold out arena, they're quiet for 30 minutes before. There's no noise. They're visualizing their performance. They're meditating. There's no distractions and they get focused. So the moment they go on that stage, they're ready to go,
Yeah.
and to conquer those fears is you have to face it and practice. Like I said, practice, practice, practice. So if
Mhm.
the fear of public speaking is something that somebody has, and what we talk about with the clients and SWOT analysis and everything, but go on video.
Yeah.
Go on video.
Mhm.
Videotape yourself or just with your friend. Maybe don't try it out on a podcast. I mean, you can, but become comfortable seeing yourself on video, hearing yourself, sharing your message. Like it's just repetition, like the bands, right? You just keep doing
Absolutely.
another show, another show. After a while, you
Absolutely.
get really good at it.
I can actually vouch for that because
Yeah.
I remember when I first started my business, I was working as a virtual assistant behind
Mm-hmm.
the scenes,
Yep.
had never done video, had never been a public speaker, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it. And then I got a numerology reading that
Mm-hmm.
said everything in your chart says you need to be speaking and be in the public eye. And
Yes.
my whole body went, no. But I did it. And instead of feeling the fear and doing it anyway, which is what we've been taught to do, I fell in love with the idea of the impact that could be created if I were to share my message.
Yes.
And so, in that falling in love with that idea, I pressed go live and I did a Facebook Live right off the get go.
There you go. You go,
I
girl.
was
That's
so
awesome.
in love with the idea, and then,
Yep.
and it was horrible. It was the worst video
Oh,
you've ever seen. It was awkward, and I was tripping over my words, and I had no idea what I was doing. But then I did a Facebook Live every single weekday for 4 years straight.
oh my God, 4 years.
4 years.
That's a lot of
So
shows. Good job.
people see me
Wow.
on video now, and they're like, "Wow, you're a natural." I'm like, "I wasn't. It was practice, practice,
Yeah.
practice, and
Yeah.
being in love with it enough to just keep doing it."
Yeah. And you realize, you have a voice and it deserves to be heard. And you have a story that needs to be shared. And there's an audience out there that needs to hear it. And
Yes.
and by you being able to like step into your power, you're channeling your inner rock star. This is like what
Right?
we talk about. But I mean, okay, look at remember your first show, right? Now
Mhm.
and then look at like maybe what do you 4 years? That's like what your 100th show, for instance, right? If
Yeah.
you went back and looked at the recording of your first show and
Mhm.
even your 10th, but let's say your 100th
Yeah.
show and compared them, it would be completely different. You're the same person,
Yeah.
but your confidence changes.
Absolutely. I actually did that for a while before my old accounts got hacked. I
Oh,
left that Facebook Live up, and so every
yeah.
year it would come around on that Facebook memory, and I'd
Yeah.
watch it, and I'd just be like, "Holy shit."
but
The
that's
change is
awesome.
like exponential. It's so fun. Yeah. So I love that. I mean, every single human on the planet has a message to share and it deserves to be heard. So
Yeah.
fall in love with that idea
Yes.
and then go from
Yes.
there. Yeah. So good. So good. Oh my gosh. I feel like I could talk to you all day. I feel like I've known you my whole life. This is so
Oh,
fun. But as
great
always,
reading. You read me right from the start. You said 10 and I'm like, "How do you know me? How do you know me?"
can't make this shit up.
Right, exactly.
But as always, we end the show with one last question.
Mhm.
What do you dream of for the world?
That is because this is gonna be released soon and not like I did an episode that's not gonna come out for like 6 months or something, but what's going on in this country, in the US right now I just wish for the world that everybody would realize that we're don't focus on the differences.
Yeah.
Focus on the similarities. I've traveled all over the planet. I've been to many countries and we're all like the same. We're all just this energy being that is trying to do something with our life and no one should stand in the way. No one should tell us what we can do with our bodies, who we can marry, what, like, oh, I'm not going to get into politics. I am, but it's just John Lennon, right? Just imagine.
Mm.
Imagine a world where there's no war, there's no, famine, there's no and we can do that. We have the technology and the capabilities to do it. But I think if we start on our mind and focus and say, okay, what can we do? Getting our story out there to help with showing this unity all over the planet.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
dream.
Yeah.